Yo, just a meathead out here, straight out of Kyber, representing the casual obsession out here, you feel me? Listen. So I've been chilling out in Ebby. I just washed up on a ship. On the beach, some fool called Jeets is talking crazy. He's a trip. Thought I'd go hit the inn and grab some ale. Just kick it. Next I know Salimas is yelling, "Smite the wicked!" So this is how it goes round here. They want me fighting with no fear. Handing me a sword. Will I survive? It's not clear. Cause now they got me running down a crib so hating rests. These traps can slap scary, get back, but hey, where's the crest? I'm grabbing scrolls, doing puzzles, and even killing rats. And spiders from the floor, yo, can't y'all get some cats? I'm guarding crystals from cultists, you know my weapons, they smoking. This Drexel hand is evoking, suspicion spells are being spoken. This is my adventure, it's my journey. All my trainers out here got me learning. With some gold I paid a friend called Byron. Monsters come around here, that boy Wylin in Korthos. Yo man, who really runs this place around here anyway? Mayor? What? Coin lords? Huh. I guess if they're paying, I'm playing, you feel me? Shoot.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of Fixer Upper. We stream Mondays at 8 o'clock, and if you're looking for a build or you have a build that needs a little bit of help, please go ahead and submit it here on the forums. Today, I actually have Sin with me. Sin is from, I think, originally Kyber, right, Sin? But now on Arganessen?
I'm originally from Galanda and then moved to Kyber and then moved to Arganessen. I'm almost Mr. Worldwide.
Nice, nice. So, what's your favorite server that you've played on so far, and why is it Kyber?
Why is it Kyber? I don't know, Kyber and Argo, they're very close. It's very close with like the pugs. The pugs are well informed because the higher end guilds, they're helping them out and they listen. There's a couple bad apples both servers. It's gonna happen, but honestly, it's hard to pick a favorite server. Both servers, I feel like, were better experienced than Galanda.
Okay. All right. Well, not to disparage any of the servers, tonight we're actually going to be covering an endgame Ranger build. And Sin, you've actually played this a lot. You've done a few
Yes.
Reaper 10 raids with this build, right?
Yeah, I did my Baba and my R10 Strahd. I was on a Tempest build. I've been playing Tempest for what feels like forever now, but it's fortunately doesn't have the love it deserves.
So before we hop into the build though, just a quick word from our sponsors over at Cloth Armor Company. These are shirts for people who play. They have a few new designs that are coming out. Look for those, I believe, later this week or even as early. Um, I don't know if they're up yet. Actually, I haven't looked today. It doesn't look like it, but either later this week, early next week, we should have a few new designs out. Cloth Armor Company, and I'll put the link to that in the chat. So, Sin, what do you like about the Ranger class?
It's two weapon fighting. I've always loved two weapon fighting and how it feels this like. But I also like the fact that it gets strike through and there's a couple more buttons than most pure two weapon fighting classes. And the complete offhand modifier compared to any other two weapon fighting class is only 0.5. Big fan of that as well.
Okay. So, couple first here. We have yet to make it through an entire build on the show. So, we'll see how you do in terms of that. Also, thanks for joining me on camera. You're the first guest
Of
who's
course,
actually been on cam for the stream with me, so appreciate that.
I know. I apologize to everybody. It can only go up from here.
Oh no. All right, so I'm seeing here that you went Ranger, and it looks like you went Asimar for the race. What do you like about Asimar?
Um, Asmar, it's got the 5% primal double strike, so it stacks with everything. There's no other primal double strike bonus in the game, to my knowledge. It gets the 10 melee power in the final form with 16 points. and it's more strength with the wings. Huge fan of the wings and the healing hands if it goes south and a lower difficulty quest you can heal yourself.
Okay, great. And I see here looking at the build, um, you went lawful good. Why do you like lawful and good?
Um, I actually don't like lawful good, but I really like the monk level for the extra multiplier and the 10% vuln. So that's worth giving up my Harbinger of Chaos.
Okay, and when we look at your gear choices later, I know a lot of the Vecna gear now has Taint of Evil on it. So would you consider lawful neutral, or uh, are you keeping good for some other reason?
No, there's no I just lawful good came to mind. Lawful neutral for sure could be a choice if you really like the Vecna gear. That's like you don't have IO Dread and you're looking for Vecna gear, you can absolutely go lawful neutral.
So all your level ups are in strength. Also pointing out that this build's using a full +8 Supreme Tome. You're maxing out strength, and then the rest of your stats are a little bit of an interesting mix here. So you're at 10 Dexterity, 12 Con, and 19 Wisdom. Why the prioritization of Wisdom over Con, for instance?
Um, I'm a huge advocator for more damage. If you do more damage, you kill before it kills you. And like if you have past lives and this ranger build gets so much hit points in tier 5 fury that I can go more into my trance stat, which is wisdom, to help benefit my damage. Cause
Okay. So kill them before they kill you. That's your philosophy in general.
absolutely.
Okay. All right. So I see outside of Reaper, it looks like this build is going to have around 3,600 hit points. Inside of Reaper, just under 5,000. So I mean that does seem beefy enough to get into some Reaper tens.
Yeah, with the wilderness lore feats allowing you to get 0.5% primal hit points for every wilderness lore feat, it is a good it allows you to be able to get hit.
So we normally don't, or we haven't at least historically so far, reviewed builds that have all the past lives, have all the Reaper points. So maybe just quickly walk us through your epic stances, why you chose what you chose. I know there's not a whole lot of controversy here in terms of what's best for melees here. But so Arcane, for instance, you took the enchant weapons. That's going to give you the +3 enhancement bonus, right?
Yeah, it's kind of the only one you can benefit from. I guess the MRR as well, but unfortunately with this build we're only at 50 MRR, so it's you don't really need to take that. You're hitting that no matter what. So the +3 to your damage is great to have.
Okay. And then for the divine, you took ancient blessings for the heal amp bonus. Your other options were elemental absorption, um, +3 to all your saving throws, or positive spell power. So as a ranger, are you going to be tossing out any heals for the party? I know you have those lay on hands.
Yeah, I'm always looking for it. If you're playing an Asmar, I feel like you should always be just keeping an eye out on healers and tanks mainly to toss heals too, just to keep them alive because you can't get healed if you're not like if they're dead. So if you keep them up, they keep you up. But yeah, I took Ancient Blessings for the heal amp just purely because I
Yeah,
want healers to like me. So the more heal amp I can have, the better.
I see your heal amp comes in at around 80, which some would consider that a little bit low for endgame. I don't know if we fully fleshed out the augments yet. So what do you typically try to aim for heal amp on your melee characters?
Um, Within my like friend group, I'm kind of notorious for having low amp, but you want to normally aim for like 150, 160. I feel like is good area to be at.
Okay. There's some really good feats here, or yeah, choices, options for the martial line. So Ancient Tactics, which is going to add to your DCs of your tactical abilities. Double Strike, which is 9% double strike. Some extra 40 fortification, some extra skills, and then some trap damage absorption. You went with Double Strike here. Um, Walk me through your thought process there.
So with Ranger, unfortunately, we don't get the love I would like. So our double strike sitting is pretty low, but we do get the 1K cuts, and it will allow our double strike every whatever the uptime is. I can't remember off the top of my head. Allow us to be well over 100, but while that's down, we want to be as close to 100 as possible. So this is why I took the double strike. For most melee builds, you're getting 100% pretty easily. So you could then switch to the ancient tactics for your better DCs. I feel like the fortification isn't too bad because most things like in R10s, if you're gonna hit your fortification should be enough. Like you won't get crit a whole lot. So
Yeah, it looks like you have a fortification of around 130.
yeah, so for just basic R10s or like just basic raids, getting hit you won't get crit a whole lot with the 130 compared to like if you're in a higher level raid tanking, you're gonna want more. Skill mastery +1 to all skills. Nice. I don't think it outweighs double strike or ancient tactics. I feel like you should always take the double strike. And if you can drop one of these double strike lives, it'd be more the as more scourge for your uh for your Razor Claw shifter to get more damage with melee attacks.
Yeah, so essentially, just out of your active past life feats between the epic and then the iconic, you're getting an extra 15% double strike, which is actually really nice.
Yes, God love the past lives.
All right, so walk me through this last one here. So for Primal, you took Ancient Power, which is looks like it's going to give you +6 to your attack. Can you still hear me? Sorry, I think I lost you there for a second. So walk me through Ancient Power. It looks like you're getting +6 to your attack here.
Yeah, I really like the ancient power just because you want to get the attack bonus as much as possible because you don't want to be grazing anything, and I feel like it's just better than double shot and fast healing because double shot you don't need as a melee. It won't ever unless you're goofing around or like you don't have any ranged DPS, then you can swap to like a throwing or ranged weapon and just toggle that stance on. But your two real picks here for melee are between colors and ancient power. But colors is like the procs are you don't I don't like depending on procs, especially at endgame. Like for leveling, you can get some cool procs, but for endgame specifically, it's the extra attack is where I'm really leaning at.
Okay. So let's move on. Let's start talking about some of your feats. And actually, before we get into the feats, I see that you opted not to go pure ranger. You have one monk level at level 4 and a favored soul level at level 20. Why did you make those choices?
Favorite soul was purely for trance. The trance gives a insight bonus to your attack, your damage, and your tactics DCs, which is if you can get your like I'm using wisdom as my trance. So if you can get that high enough with augments or items or and like just however you can get that high enough, you will get to a good attack bonus or a good damage, which will increase. So then I couldn't go pure taking a trance. So I threw in a monk level, which allows me to get 10% more damage on my lightning imbue, and it also gives me an extra crit multi in the fire stance.
So If you wanted to, I know that there may not be a lot of tie back with Horizon Walker, but say someone didn't want to split the levels and they wanted to go pure Ranger. How viable do you think it is to make it dex based instead of strength, and then maybe go into 11 points of Horizon Walker to grab the battle trance there?
Yeah, to go from like strength, like purely strength, like main stat to dex main stat.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. Yep.
I'm I'm always a big advocate for strength because you can just boost it super high. Like this build sits at a 115 strength compared to dex. You can't. There's those extra modifiers to get it as high as you can, like with strength. So it might it might work. I've never really tried it because I was never able to get my dex as high as I would like to, or as high as my strength can go. So dex might work, and I think it's always good to have trance as your main stat.
Yeah, it looks like you're spending all of 3 points in the War Soul tree, and you're just grabbing Divine Will here. You're grabbing the Wisdom version, so that way you can boost your attack and damage for a minute at a time.
Yeah, yeah, that I feel like that minute is more than enough. 30 seconds is might be a little low for like raids and stuff like that, and having to stop DPS, swap all your items to get your trance as high as possible, then swap back is just almost like a DPS loss. So having that full minute is a lot better, and you're not wasting a whole lot of points. So with that extra point that I'm not taking for that minute, I can spend in Deepwood Stalker and get another sneak dice.
Now, what you're giving up by splashing 2 levels of other classes instead of pure Ranger is Dervish here, which is the Tempest Capstone, which would give you 4 dex, 10% double strike, and as long as you're wearing medium, light, or no armor, you'd get an extra 10 melee power, 10 PRR, and 10 MRR. So when weighing out the change, basically you're looking to overcome all of that, right?
Yeah, which I with as a strength main stat, the dex is only really good for my reflex save or my AC. So that's almost not worth it just purely on the dex. The double strike we get close enough to 100 with ASMR, so and the 10 melee power I feel like is just it's really nice, really good, but I feel like the trance for 3 points and for 2 points in Henshin Mystic getting the static charge, which allows me my sonic and electrical damage to be 10% more, and 2 stacks of Vuln is almost outweighs it because I take Rain in the Epic Destinies. I take Rain and my Sword Stings, my Epic Strike
So
will.
the way the trance is working here is it's adding to your damage, and this is actually replacing deadly because it's a deadly type bonus. And so if you had a wisdom of 66 here, and I'm assuming you're gonna have a swap item at endgame,
Yep.
something to boost that. What do you normally get that to? Around 80, 86, somewhere in there?
Yeah, it's somewhere between there, give or take.
Okay, so the way you would calculate that is, let's just go off of the 66 that's on the screen. You'd subtract 10 from that and then divide the number in half, and that becomes the new damage bonus. So it would be half of 56, or essentially 28 bonus to your damage versus your deadly, which with deadly and insightful deadly and quality deadly, you can't get a sustainable number that matches what the trance gives, which makes those battle trances actually really important to your end game
Yeah.
damage.
And it's an insight bonus, so I think I could be completely wrong here, but it only covers over your insightful deadly. Your normal deadly and quality deadly will stick. I could be wrong, I'm not too sure. I would have to
I
let
think
a
it
DDO math nerd
I think it
correct
I
me.
think it replaces your standard deadly, but I think you're right. I think the insightful and the quality, I think it stacks with those. All right. So looking at your weapon, and I just want to point out your crit profile here. So you're at a 17 to 20 4/7 crit multiplier. So that means it'll be times 4 On a 17 or 18, and then on a 19 or 20, it'll be a times 7 bonus. Um, how do you get the crit multiplier so high? Because I think that ties into your class selection too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's the monk will give it a +1. You get +1 in Ranger in deflect arrows and tempest. That's really nice. And then I get another +1 with Knight's Training. And then the 17 to 20 is just the basic longsword. It's not as great as other weapons where you got your falchion at 15 to 20 or your scimitars at 16 to 20 base. But we are pretty locked into longswords here because with Whirling Steel Strike, you're allowed to have the main hand,
Yeah, and we're
or
going
you're
to
allowed
go
to have two
through
weapons.
all the forms that you have here, all the different feat choices. But I really wanted to call out this Master of Forms feat um, because you're running Sun Stance on this build. And as long as you're in Sun Stance, you're getting a +3 bonus to Strength, and the critical multiplier of all your weapons is increased by 1 on a 19 or 20. So that's pretty nice. Um, because Sun Stance is also taking away from your wisdom, will you swap typically to Ocean Stance along with the item swap before you hit your trance?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll swap for that. +3 wisdom. I'll lose the strength because just for the trance, and then I'll swap back. And
So why didn't you take the Grandmaster of Forms feat?
I was waiting for that question. I really like the improved feint. I feel like that's the only other one here after master forms that you can swap out. You can definitely swap out the improved feint, but I like it as another bluff just to if I do get things that I don't want or to keep aggro off of me on a raid boss, so I'm not flipping the boss. Pressing improved feint a lot.
I just wanted to point out if you follow the progression, the Adepta Forms gives 2 strength, and it also gives you additional key generation. Um, Once you get up to the second, which is the Master of Forms, now you're getting that crit multiplier as well. And going up to Grandmaster of Forms, all that really is affected is you're getting an extra +1 strength, and then on criticals, you're also generating 1 additional key. So the difference between Grandmaster of Forms and some of your other feat choices is essentially 1 strength,
Yeah.
since you're taking the Master of Forms already. So just in case anyone had that question, I wanted to call attention to that as well. All right, perfect. So let's go through your feats. You're starting with weapon focus, slashing. I'm just gonna go really fast through the ones that I feel like are standard.
Mhm.
Calling out all your favorite enemies, you take monstrous humanoid, aberration, vermin, animal. Why do you like those as your favorite enemies?
I just feel like Dark Hunter unfortunately doesn't get a whole lot of the favorite enemies. So I feel like these were kind of the best choices that I see at endgame. I'm not. I don't pay attention as much as I should to what enemies I'm really fighting at endgame. So these can definitely be changed if I'm completely wrong and there's not a lot of aberrations and humanoids or whatever there is. This is just what I feel like I see
Yeah, so based on
a
the
lot and are
content
most
that you're
popular.
running, you can adapt that, especially if there's a specific raid that you were going to be pushing with it, you would customize it for that raid.
Yeah, I would definitely, I would change out some of these for if there's a raid that I'm trying to do that doesn't have these and I can still take it as a Dark Hunter.
So tell me about the Asimar Bond of the Fallen, because you get 2 options here. Obviously, this is the strength bonus, and it also affects your enhancement line.
Yeah, Fallen is for melees your choice. It's gives you your melee power, your vuln stacks, your strength, your double strike. Where the charisma bond of the protector is more tank or anything charisma based favored.
Now, I do see here that you opted for Fight the Wicked 1 and 2, which is essentially going to give you +2 to hit and damage against evil creatures. If you wanted to, instead, you could have swapped that, say, for an extra 20 heal amp to get to 100. Why do you like the extra hit and damage? Talk to me about that.
It's just 2 damage. I like to get my damage bonuses and stuff like that as high as I can.
I do notice that flat numbers make a big difference, so um, I run a lot of cleric builds, and having Inflame for the entire party, which gives a bonus +4 flat damage to everybody, it makes a noticeable difference. So
Yeah,
picking up an extra
the
two flats
flats.
pretty good.
Yeah, the flats are flat damages. Anything you can get with flat damages, your magic bang, your dead, or yeah, your magic bang or enchant weapons. Your flat damage is really what carries the ranger because you don't get a whole lot of melee power.
All right, and so this is always controversial, right? I see here that at level 3 you're taking precision instead of power attack. Talk to me about that. Why do you like precision better?
Um, just the 5% to hit is incredibly nice. I love just I rather hit something than graze it as any other melee would. So the 5% to hit's really nice, and the fortification um can it allows you to the fortification bypass allows you to create pretty much everything in the game. And with crit numbers, it really helps out having that extra forward bypass.
So I noticed that you keep calling out a lot of to hit bonuses. What's your experience in playing two weapon fighting that makes you rotate so heavily into that?
It's just I want to be able to hit as much as I can. You get 4 attacks to weapon fighting. You get 2 on your main hand, 2 on your offhand if you're max double strikes. So you just want to be able to hit as much as possible when you're getting that lovely 4 hits
Now,
to increase your damage as much as possible.
your other option would be power attack, which obviously adds additional damage in as well. Um, if you're running with a group, will you ever swap that out? So if you have somebody who's a debuffer, you know they're going to be reducing enemy for you. In raid situations, do you ever find yourself swapping that out for power attack instead?
Yeah, like if my guild does some raid nights and stuff like that, and we have a debuffer come along, then yeah, I'll go feat swap some for power attack just to get some extra damage to see better numbers.
So tell me about this whirling steel strike. It says you treat longswords as if they were monk weapons, remaining centered when you wield them. So obviously you're going to be taking advantage of the monk stances. It's going to restrict your armor choices. You're losing out again on that capstone and tempest. How much of a noticeable difference on a two-weapon fighter do you think that extra +1 to your crits on 19 and 20 makes?
Oh, it makes a lot of a it makes a lot of a difference. It's you you roll 20s more than like 19s and 20s more than like you would think like just on paper. It's like, oh, that's only low percent chance, but with how fast you attack and how much you're attacking, the 19 to 20s are they come more often than you think. So having that, especially with the whirling steel strike, so you can use long swords, is is just long swords outperform any other key weapon for rangers or 2 weapon fighting.
Okay. Why do long swords perform better?
It's just their base damage is higher. It's comes down to a 1d8, where I think commas and hand wraps are a little lower. I think 1d4s. So it's like the 1d8 and the base damage really becomes a big factor in longswords, the other key weapons.
Actually, I think it's really important too to point out that there's going to be a lot of feats throughout the build that are automatically granted. Um, so we may not actually cover all the feats that you have, but Ranger's set up pretty nicely for the two-weapon fighting feat line. So if you just look at the feat choices we made, you don't see a single two-weapon fighting feat, but that's because with 18 Ranger levels, you're going to automatically get all of that. Actually, let me pull that up on the wiki.
Yeah, it's 12. It's 12 ranger levels. You get your greater two weapon fighting, which is another reason why I like ranger. It gives me more variety to take things like sneak of shadows, like Knight's Training, Nimble Fingers. Just opens up extra feat slots.
Okay. So yeah, so here you're going to get your two-weapon fighting. You're going to get your improved two-weapon fighting at 6th level, greater at the 11th level, and then hiding in plain sight. What is that?
Hiding in plain sight is a great question. I
It
haven't looked at it in a while.
it's basically something that helps you with your sneaking skills if you're not moving. Um, I don't know if you find a lot of uses for that or not.
Not really. I don't passively play for it.
All in, either the enemies are gone or we're gone. One way or the other. We're not
Yeah.
standing still. All right.
It's the plus one hide and move silently isn't as great as it was when Sneak of Shadow scaled with your hide bonus. And yeah, it's never really standing still, so the enemies don't spot you. I'm not passively the sneakiest player.
So tell me about Sneak of Shadows, and I actually think this feat was changed, wasn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it was changed to where it doesn't scale with your hide bonus now. It's just a flat it's just a flat bonus.
Yeah, I don't think that has been
It
updated
is
yet.
a
So let me go under feats. Let's go under our past lives. Heroic. Let's go under rogue.
it's a flat bonus of 15 with all three stacks.
Yep. Say it one more time, Sin.
It's a flat bonus of 15 to your sneak attack damage. So it's basically like a deception plus 15 item, which everybody would love.
Yeah, so if we're looking at your stats on the builder page here, it says you have 28 sneak attack dice. So every time that you connect with your weapon, you're dealing an extra 28d6 worth of damage. Now, how does that damage scale with this sneak attack damage bonus? How does that add in?
I think it just adds in before it like your deadly would in your deception. It comes in before and then scales your 2086.
And is that affected by melee power?
No, the sneak attack damage like your deception is its own like deadly bonus. Just a flat damage, where your sneak attack dice is affected by melee power.
Okay, great. And I see here you're taking improved critical slashing. We already know about that. That gives you a keen
Yep.
effect. Knight's Training. Another crit multiplier effect because you're using the long swords. And this is just a +1 regardless of what type of critical it was.
Yeah, it's the morale bonus. So it stacks with all enhancements. If I remember correctly.
And then I see you took Nimble Fingers for Disable Device and Open Lock. Why did you like that?
Because if you go to Epic Destinies in the Shadow Dancer tree, tier 1 on the right hand side, your Shadow Dancer Technician. Rank 3, having Nimble Fingers gives you an extra sneak dice.
Got it. Yeah, so we're not really worried about opening locks or disabling devices on this build. You just really wanted to get that extra sneak attack
Yeah,
dice in.
yeah. And with Dark Hunter, I guess if the party really wants me to, I can open a few doors or pick a few locks and stuff like that. It's mainly for the sneak dice is why I took that feat.
So you're follower of the Sovereign Host. That means that longswords are your favored weapon. So you'll get an additional +1 to hit with them. You're not
Yep.
really taking advantage of anything that really scales that any further.
No, not overly. It's I just took that, yeah, because the longsword's +1 to hit. It's when you take the one favorite soul level for any classes that you take a favorite soul or cleric level for your trance. That it doesn't really matter what one you take. It's kind of to fill the feat slot on the builder because most of the time you're not really affected with favored weapons. But it's just I was using long swords, their favorite weapon. I get the +1 to hit, so I was like, why not? But that one overly doesn't matter.
And I see you took Overwhelming Critical again on 19
Yeah,
or
very
20.
very genetic.
Yep, giving that extra +1 crit multiplier, some extra double strike here, getting up to that Master of Forms feat. We talked about why that was important. Perfect 2-weapon fighting. So what is this going to do for you?
It allows your offhand attacks to get up to 15% more double strike, which is again as much as you want as much double strike as you can for melees for two-weapon fighting. You want to get as close as 100 as possible. So getting from 50 to 65 is quite huge.
Yeah, so if we could hop in the Wayback Machine back when Double Strike was actually 2 separate hits,
Mhm.
this would mean that 60, if you had 100% Double Strike, 65% of the time you would actually swing once but hit 4 times, which is really
Yep.
good. But um, because that would also apply all your imbues, all your sneak attack dice. But unfortunately, now Double Strike is a damage multiplier, so that means 65% of the time you'll swing once and you'll deal ×4 damage, which is pretty
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
All right, so tell me about Improved Feint. What is this?
Improve feint. This is probably one of my favorite feats in the game, purely on the reason that it just keeps stuff off of me. It's as a build where you're taking advantage of sneak attack damage, you really don't want things on you or focused on you, so you can bluff them off of you with improved feint. Um, Another thing with it that I really utilize is it's an auto reset. So you can auto improved feint and then auto again, and it's doing your first attack animation 3 times, which your first attack animation is your fastest attack animation on two-weapon fighting.
Okay, so say that again. What would you do when you want to trigger that?
I would auto first, just your basic left click, and then press your improve feint button, which I normally have it on my 2 button. So I'll left click 2 and then left click again, and it'll allow me to attack 3 times as fast as possible.
That's great. And then for your embodiment of law feat, you're essentially gaining 2 imbue dice because you're lawful. You had to be
Yep,
lawful in order to be a monk,
to be a monk.
and you're also gaining 3 PR and MRR out of that. Um, Now, as we go towards the last few feats, I see that you took Scion of the Ethereal Plane. That's going to scale your sneak attack dice. You're going to get a little bit of melee power out of there. Invisibility Guard, that's not the worst thing to have either.
No, especially as a dark hunter where you get the primal bonus to wilderness lore feats as a sneak attack dice when you go invisible. It's almost like passive income. It's like being a business owner. Your job, you have this business. You don't have to be there, but money's coming in for you. So it's almost like it's good to have passively.
And I'm going to skip 2 weapon defense for now. And then I see you took Harbinger of Chaos, and you're not chaotic, but you're still gaining an extra 2 double strike out of that.
Yeah.
And that's
Unfortunately, we don't
basically
get
to
the double
get you
strike.
the difference of uh, between 94 and 96% double strike. So, all right, tell me about 2 weapon defense, and then we'll talk about a feat that you didn't take.
All right, so two weapon defense is really for the MRR cap and the extra 5 PRR compared to the epic what is it? Epic damage reduction is the 10 is something you can take there, but I really dislike the 50 MRR cap, so with this feat getting a little more PRR and the 10 PRR MRR cap, I feel like is probably your best option there. You don't have to be blocking for it to count to get the 5 PRR and the 10 MRR. It's just a completely total like complete 10 MRR to your 50.
So why didn't you need to take the oversized two-weapon fighting feat?
I just feel like that is like kind of almost a waste. It's the penalty isn't very noticeable that you get with oversized having your longsword in your offhand. So it's just yeah, I don't see it very being very noticeable compared to the 10 PRR and or 5 PRR 10 MRR. It's just
I just figured I'd call it out because there were a lot of
yeah,
places throughout the build where we specifically took extra bonuses to hit, and now we're taking defense instead of eliminating a two-hit bonus. So I just figured I'd call that out and get your thoughts
yeah,
behind it.
absolutely. Yeah, it's we take it earlier like for feats to get our to hit so that we don't have to take that feat because the other feats giving the 2 hit are more beneficial than taking that feat.
So getting into enhancements, we actually went through the Asimar tree. We talked about Warsoul. Um, I'm looking here. I'm seeing in Henshin, you're taking the core that's going to give you some melee power, and then static charge. Why do you like static charge?
It's just 10% more damage to my imbue. I have the electric imbue. It's the 1d8 100% scaling out of uh out of Tempest. So that's electric. And then in Epic Destinies, I'm taking Rain, which is a thunderclap, electric, and sonic damage. So I'll get 10% bonus to Rain, and then I'll get a 10% bonus on my sword sings.
Yeah, I like that it's 1d8. I don't like that that imbue only scales with 100% melee power instead of the normal 200. So,
Yeah, you're preaching to the choir.
um,
I've asked in the general Discord several times for that to be changed, for Tempest to get a little more love.
your Vistani setup's pretty standard. You're essentially doing the thrifty point spend in order to get that 30% attack bonus. I think we all understand why that's really important. Um, you also get an extra 5% double strike, as well as picking up an additional favorite enemy, which is the
Yeah.
Undead Hunter. So that is all nice. So tell me a little bit about the Dark Hunter tree. What are you gaining here?
Oh, I love this tree. This tree is my favorite tree in the game. Um, you use 3 imbue dice, 3 sneak dice. With kills, you get stacking melee power, and then my favorite bot in the entire game. Every time you're invisible, you get a primal bonus to your sneak attack dice. So we're getting 18 wilderness lore feet, so 18 that's 18 sneak attack dice when you go invisible for 10 seconds. So it's a very, very big burst window.
Now, I'm noticing that you have 28 sneak attack dice. How come you're saying you're only getting 18 out of there?
Um, uh, 18 after you go invis, so it'll be 28 plus the 18.
Right, so it says that whenever you become invisible, your sneak attack dice are briefly doubled. Why wouldn't it double all 28 of your sneak attack dice? I guess is what I'm
Um,
asking.
oh, because the builder hasn't updated. The Matrim didn't do the update where SSG made it instead of doubling because that's a little broken. Where I'd be getting 56 sneak dice. Now I'm only getting the 46 with the primal bonus. So they changed that in game to a primal bonus equal to your wilderness lore feats.
Yeah, it looks like the wiki is updated. So in this instance, your wilderness lore is going to be 18 because it's equal to your ranger levels.
Mhm.
I mean, an extra 18 sneak attack dice is still really nice, though, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's not my doubles, but I'll take it.
And you're obviously picking up a lot of sneak attack dice out of the tree itself.
Mhm.
Um,
Getting as much as possible.
and what is smoke trap?
Smoke trap, it's the equivalent to Assassin's Trick out of the Rogue tree. So it just removes their immunity to sneak, and then also 25% of their fortification, which is super nice. But unfortunately, it does have a DC to it, so you'll want to get your assassinate and your dex mod up high enough. So like I'll normally augment dexterity and I'll try and augment an assassinate DC if I don't have an item that gives me assassinate DC.
Okay, yeah, we can
Yeah,
look at that when we get to gear. There's a few augments that'll give it, and you can craft it onto Dino as well.
yeah. The dino crafting is huge for that.
Now, does this smoke trap ability, do you find that it's as effective as Feint in terms of getting those first attack rotation swings to go off as well?
No, no, it's smoke trap is like the alchemist bombs that alchemist gets. It's you throw a potion. So
So it would actually disrupt your attack animation.
yeah, so ideally you want, well, like let's say you're playing it like you're doing killing time and you're coming off the air jets to Korkaza. Before you start hitting her, you want to hit her with that.
Okay, great. Yeah, Dark Hunter seems really awesome. How come you didn't go heavier into Dark Hunter then?
Um, because I feel like the tier 5 is the only like unique thing about it that's really good is the PRR bonus per 2 caster levels on your camouflage. That's uh that's kind of really the only thing. You get 10% double strike. It's not worth dropping 1,000 cuts or your dual perfection or your dance of death. And the assassinate bonus only works on your 6 favorite enemies you get. Like, or you get 4 every 5 levels. So you can only assassinate 4 things. It's not like the rogue assassinate where it works on everything. And then
Does the favorite enemy that you picked up from other sources there?
it does work. Yeah, it should.
It looks like it's saying it's specific to vermin, elves, aberrations, animals, humanoids, and monstrous humanoids. Looks like it's just those are the potential ones. So maybe it would not apply to the undead. I haven't tested it.
And if it doesn't, that's another reason to go Tempest tier 5.
Okay. So speaking of Tempest, what are you getting out of here?
All the goodies. You're getting your 30 melee power button, you're getting strike through, you get your strike through button, and you're getting full attribute damage modifier on your offhand. You get extra damage there with the growing storm. That uptime is almost 100% or 100%. You get a little mini meld with elaborate parry equal to your dex modifier, your dodge. Like it's that's really nice to have. And then you just get some flat damage and some offhand strike, so you don't have to take that in your epic destinies.
So dual perfection, this seems really good, right? So this is going to be similar to single weapon fighters getting the full damage attribute modifier,
Mm-hmm.
which is nice, especially when you stack that up with your trance. Tell me about 1,000 cuts.
1,000 cuts. This is my favorite button in the game. It's 30 melee power scaling your already on like it's 30 melee power that stacks with your prowess and any other melee power boosts that you get. It's just another 30 to scale all your sneak dice. And then you get the 30 double strike, so we're at 96. The double strike isn't as worth it, but it'll still be that. At times we'll have that full 100%.
So it looks like it's only up for 15 seconds every 90, though.
Right, which that 15 seconds will get you through pack of mobs if you're doing R10s. It'll be a good burst window again with your invis, so you'll hit this, go invis, prowess swap, and you'll get a huge burst window. And then by the time by the time this is back up, your invis clicky thing, that'll be back up for the 60 seconds in raids. But then with you only miss 1k cuts for 2 or 3 packs in R10s. You'll miss it for like 2 or 3 packs of mobs. It's the 90 seconds is doesn't feel as long as it sounds when you're actually in quest.
Now, when you're doing a push raid with this, will you try to time it out so that way, whenever somebody uses time stop or everybody's boosting damage, then you'll hit it to get that extra melee power burst?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we will communicate in voice how long I have on my 1,000 cuts, or if someone else is running a action hero, I'll try and time it with their action hero so that we can time both of our big melee power boosts with the time stop to kind of
C
get as much
Money
damage as we can.
C Money 1357 in Twitch chat said he could see you wanting to use this as often as possible every time it's off of cooldown.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my favorite buttons in the game. Just seeing the 30 melee power on top of your prowess, which is an 80 melee power, going into all the sneak dice and imbue dice we have.
So then tell me about Dance of Death. Now this is up for 10 seconds out of 15, so this is up 66% of the time.
Yeah, yeah. It's again with the 15 seconds with 1,000 cuts. Like I said earlier, that's enough to get you through a pack of mobs. So realistically, 5 seconds from pack of mobs to pack of mobs is enough that your Dance of Death is pretty much up for every pack of mobs. You're not really hitting Dance of Death other than the plus 5W damage, which is equivalent to plus 50% damage. Now with the new W changes that they implemented in, I'm not sure what update exactly, but they implemented that plus 5W damage to be plus 50%.
Yeah,
So
and that
that's nice for raids, just to hit on the boss. But other than that, you're not really using Dance of Death for push raids.
the 200% strike through, how are you noticing that with your long swords? Do you have a decent enough hitbox with those that it makes
Yeah,
a big difference?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you're hitting for the 4 mobs that you need to hit all the time.
Alright, so that's your enhancements. We're right here. Let's swing over to Destinies. Tell me about your tree choices, because I see you're in Fate Singer, Fury, and Shadow Dancer. Maybe let's
Yeah.
start with Shadow Dancer. I think that one's a little bit easy.
Yeah, okay, so Shadow Dancer is kind of generic. I'm heavily focused on my sneak attack dice. Shadow Dancer for every core will start off at the bottom. Every core is 5 melee power, 1 sneak dice, 15 hit points, the juicy stuff. So then we're taking 3 of those, so we get 15 melee power, 3 sneak dice for damage wise, on top of the extra sneak dice in Technician. Um, we generate 30% less threat, which is great for push raids. You don't want to be turning an R10 boss onto your party. If you're doing that, you're doing something wrong. Um,
Yeah, so looking at your melee threat generation in this build, you're minus 100%. So you can
yeah,
swing, you can get your big crits. You do not have to worry that you're going to make the tank's job more difficult, which managing aggro, it's everybody in the party's job, not just the tank.
yeah, absolutely. You don't want to, if you have no threat generation, You want to be more careful about that. You want to go into Shadow Dancer, get your 30%. You want to have your improved feint. You want to have any buttons that you have that can not turn the boss to you, that will bluff the boss, will make it so that they don't want to hit you.
I'll also say this, Cover of Darkness is quite nice, because in addition to negative 30% for your threat, you also gain the benefits of Night Shield, and anything that uses any type of force missiles in the game, this is going to just make you instantly immune to that type of damage.
Yeah, especially with your 60 MRR that we have, you like that. You don't want to be. I'm notorious for being forgetful, for bringing the scrolls or even using the scrolls, like Night Shield, so that, or swapping a spell absorb. I've gotten better at the swapping to spell absorb, but having the Night Shield is absolutely gorgeous, so that you don't have to keep reminding yourself to put that on. You can just ignore it with your Famine Reapers, your Venge Reapers, anything that can cast those force missiles, magic missiles. It'll save you.
So then the other two things, you're getting an additional 3 sneak attack dice. So that brings you up to 7 sneak attack dice that you got out of Shadow Dancer. And Shadow Striker, which is giving you a 5% double strike bonus and immunity to energy drain. So, I mean, that's a pretty good point spend for 14 AP there.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. This anything more than 14 in Shadow Dancer, unless you're using the Epic Strike or the Shadow Form, the uh the Destiny Mantle, is almost a waste. You can go for the fortification if you have the extra feet or extra Epic Destiny points, but realistically, you want to really stop at the double strike because there's better things in other trees.
So I see that most of your points are spent in Fury, but you're not actually taking the Epic Strike Adrenaline, and you're not in the Fury Destiny. You don't have that mantle active. So talk to me about Fury.
So Fury is it's the only tree where it allows you to get 9% double strike as a ranger. Ranger, you really want your double strike as high as you can get it. So getting this 9% double strike here is really, really nice. Your primal scream is as good as it gets. A little extra PRR. You get uncon range down in the cores. Your 5 melee power. Your 25 hit points. You could for trash. You can swap this Epic Destiny setup is really realistically only for push raids or raiding in general. So you can drop 2 points out of the acute senses and 1 point out of enduring to get quick cutter for just to give you more wave clear. With quick cutter,
Oh, sorry, at the top here.
and then what else do I take? I take the +3 attack and damage against shaken and feared enemies. Really good. I was actually informed by a guildie that Primal Scream will add the shaken debuff for 30 seconds. So if you Primal Scream before you're hitting a raid boss or 4 packs, that'll give you the +3 attack and damage out of Fear My Vengeance. There's also a augment called the Eye of Shabrath that does the shaken debuff as well that you can slot in your weapons or just slot into your offhand because you have that 100% offhand strike. And then you get your 9 double strike. I took the Overwhelming Force and the Furious. That is a total of 150% bonus damage to my adrenalines, which I don't take at the bottom, but I do take for Unbridled Fury, my epic moment. It When the adrenaline's proc, I want as much damage out of the adrenaline procs.
Right, so even though you're not taking the Epic Strike for Adrenaline, you're still fueling the damage bonus because when you hit that Unbridled Fury, it's going to give you that damage bonus as though adrenaline was active.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And I see that you grabbed Harbinger of Chaos, so you're actually getting an extra 100 hit points, 20 PRR out of this Fury of the Wild Scarred by Chaos. You're also, again, picking up the critical multiplier from Nature's Fury. And tell me about Lore of the Wilds.
Oh, this is another great feat for Rangers, or great Destiny point for Rangers. It's a primal bonus to your max hit points. There is no other, to my knowledge, that I can take as a Ranger that will give me a primal bonus to my hit points to allow me to be able to survive, allow healers more time to get to me to heal me. So as much hit points as I can have.
Yeah,
That
so
is
this
a
right here, this is what gives you that flexibility to go a little lighter on your con score, but still
yep.
almost end up with 5k hit points, because this is essentially giving you a 9% stacking bonus to your HP.
Yeah, the 9% bonus to hit points that stacks with my 25% from Tempestry, any other bonuses I get from percent, this will stack with it. So having that will allow me to have lower con, which will allow me to put more points into my wisdom, like we said at the beginning.
Veni Vidi Whoopsie asked if we were going to be archiving these video series anywhere. Yeah, they're going to eventually be up on YouTube. If you do want to find my YouTube channel, I'll shout out my main Twitch channel, where you can find me streaming most other times. All right, and then so lastly, you're here in Fate Singer, and that might seem like an odd choice. So walk me through that. Why do you like Fate Singer? I see you have the Epic Strike, and you're in the Mantle.
Yeah. So the mantles, I feel like these other mantles weren't as great as these other ones, so I kind of just needed a mantle. You can flex this tree with Dreadnought. You could swap this out for Dreadnought and just take Quick Cutter again over in the Fury of the Wild Tree and drop those 2 points I said earlier. Um, but I really like this tree because the Sword Sings, similar to Improve Feint, is an auto reset on your auto attacks. So if you have your timing right, you can auto Improve Feint, auto the Sword Sings, and then auto again, and you'll repeat your first attack animation a lot. It's 4 or 5 times. So it's a big, quick burst damage.
Yeah, especially if you're hitting that 5 times in a row, that'd be really nice.
hmm
And then why did you choose to go Mantle of Sound and Fury?
Again, like with my Henshin attack, gives me more damage to Sonic. So having this up, my attacks and my spells have a chance to proc this, which is it scales 200% of my melee or range power, which with all boosts going, my melee power will be well over 400, which will be huge, huge Sonic damage bonus on top of my Sword Sings.
And then it looks like every 10 seconds, this also has a chance to trigger and give you an extra 180 temporary hit points. Now, 180 hit points are not going to go very far in Reaper 10. But again, like you were mentioning, if you just need those extra few hit points so the
Yeah,
healer can get to you, it's kind of nice for that.
yeah, absolutely. Just having that 180 will bring me just over 5,000, which then you could almost tank pug raids at that point with the 5,000 hit points as a melee DPS.
One thing that we pointed out before, and I really don't want to skip over this, is back to the sword sings. Um, it has a 4 second cooldown, so
Yes,
unlike some of the other epic strikes that have a 12-second cooldown, you can use the sword sings constantly. you're getting not only 50% extra damage, but a +4 critical threat range, which means anything on a 13 or better would be a crit.
Yeah.
Essentially, you're close to a 40% crit rate, so that's pretty nice.
Yeah, and on top of that, with how much like with the extra threat range, if you do crit, it will give you that extra bit of CC on the on mobs that can be CC'd.
And especially pairing that with the strike through. So if you have the strike through active from your Tempest tree while that's going off, you can stun an entire pack of mobs with that.
Yeah, yeah. You wanna
Okay.
you wanna utilize those two together.
So harmonic resonance, it looks like you can stack up some debuffs for the enemy. You can give them up to -15 armor class. Looks like again you're reducing your threat here. Um, Based on your where your threat gen ended up, and you're at -115, you might be able to swap one of the points here out. Except you have a minimum point spent to get up to these top tier abilities.
Yeah.
So you have to spend 20 points to get here, and it looks like you're spending everything that you can. So I don't know how much flexibility there actually is.
You can absolutely drop that one for where is it? Friendly spells. You could probably drop two out of there. You'll be close enough to 100. Wait, so you can get the Grandeur. Sorry if I butchered that. To get more PRR and armor class for the party for the tanks. That would be really good to have. Or you can just get more spell power in the bottom. You can take one away and get one more spell power with Music of the Spider Queen.
I actually like the Blade of Discord here. So if you look at the Blade of Discord, it's basically a mini version of the Sword Sings. It's instead of 50%, it's 30% damage. Instead of an extra 4 to the critical threat range, it's only 2. And you can only use it every 15 seconds instead of every 4. But having a second, big swing ability on your
Mhm.
bar, I mean, second, I think you have like 5 of them at this point, so
Yeah,
might
yeah.
be something to consider.
No, absolutely. Yeah, you can definitely drop. You could realistically, yeah, you could take the 2 points out of the 6% fort bypass. That would be one, or I get the one out of Pianismo and get one in the Sonata to serve to be able to get that. That's definitely another one you can look into. But I almost just wanted to make sure that I have enough fort bypass, and the other few points are kind of locked in.
Yeah, see, so this actually, you have to put them somewhere. But if we swap these two, I guess you could pick this up, and then it would almost get you where you need to be there. So tell me about the rhythm terrain here.
This one on a Vorpal Strike, you're dealing 11d20 of your sonic and electric damage. Does scale with spell crow or spell powers, so with your skill points, you want to level up some spellcraft to just get that extra bit of universal spell power. You can throw in some augments or an item that will allow you to get the extra little bit of spell power. It's not a huge issue, but the main thing that this scales with that I really like is my henshin attack. It's sonic and electricity, so it'll be 10% already on that big bonus of 11d20. 10% of that is massive.
And then on top of that, you're also gaining +3 flat damage here. I messed up your point spend because I had swapped things around actually here. Let me fix it back to how you had it. Or did you just take 1 and 1? Because you had a resonation in here as well.
Yeah, I had the martial one, so I dropped the attacking damages. for the
Okay, so it'd look like
martial
this.
resonance. Yep. Yeah, that is exactly what it looks like.
Okay, so that's basically giving you an extra strength, dex, con, and 5 PRR, 5 MRR, 5 armor class, and 10 melee power. So yeah, that's 2 points well worth it. Is there anything that you would grab if you had additional points to spend?
Absolutely. If you have additional points, I'm not sure if this is max or not, but you would definitely want to go for the attack and damage in Ballads of War. Um, extra points to spend. Going for the Unquenchable Rage over in Tier 4, right hand side of Fury of the Wild. 3 points into that if you have those points. Just that extra heal with on your Primal Scream is huge. Just in between packs of mobs if you don't have a healer in your R10s.
So the
Just
reason I
pressing
bring
that.
that up is we're about to increase the level cap, anticipating within the next 3 months or so.
Mhm.
We should all be leveling up to 34. So with 2 additional levels, would that mean an additional 8 destiny points? I think
Yeah,
that's what that
that would
means,
be
right?
that would be an additional 8 destiny points. So I would definitely look over towards the Unquenchable Rage for 3, plus 3 to attack and damage over in Ballads of War is another beautiful thing to take.
Another
And
option here is bring darkness is pretty nice because then whenever you're making melee attacks, you can envelop the target in darkness, and basically it makes them vulnerable to sneak attacks, the same as some of your other abilities do. And since you have a lot of scaling sneak attack dice on this build, I think that would actually be very effective.
yeah, yeah, for push rating, if you need that, if it, like somebody doesn't have that in your raid group, you'll definitely want to go for that with those 8 points, which will then bring you so you'll take your 3 in Grim Precision, um, so that'd be 17, 3 in Assassinate, which will then bring you up to your Bring Darkness.
And looking at the Reaper trees, just really quickly, you have 156 Reaper points, so they're all filled out. Those choices are pretty easy. Um, but you're getting a lot of bonuses here. You can see that when I toggle in and out of Reaper mode, a lot of your stats, including your hit points and your main stats, all change significantly. So, um, again, this is an endgame build. It's designed for somebody who has all the past lives, all the Reaper points, and is really looking to push content. Um, I left you almost 20 minutes to go over your gear. Almost, which is better than anyone else's pace so far. So either I'm getting better or you're doing well. I will say that I just want to give a quick shout out. We covered this on last week's stream, but Lava Divers is currently on the Argo server doing a first life raid push challenge. And this last week, I believe they completed, man, I forget if it was R4 or R6 Project Nemesis with all first life characters.
Yeah,
Pretty impressive.
I think it was an R5. Last I heard, it was an
Oh, it was
R5.
right in
It
the middle
could
of
have
what I
moved.
said in
Yeah,
R5.
yeah, that's what if I remember correctly, because I do talk to a few of those guys. They're all great guys, very knowledgeable players.
So if
Nothing but
you're
respect.
if you're sitting down tonight and you're like, man, I don't have all the past lives, I don't have all the Reaper points, I can never play this build. It's okay. We're going to cover a lot of other builds in this series that some of them, as a matter of fact, are just going to be first life builds that are highly effective, can get you into Reaper 10 questing, and can also get you into even Reaper raiding if you're dedicated to learn how to play the build. So, all right, let's go over some of your gear choices, and I feel like I'm gonna go over the filigrees really fast. We've actually seen this same filigree or similar filigree setup in on previous melee builds. So they all seem to start with Sucker Punch, one against many rare. I think if you're going a strength melee build, you're gonna want that in both your weapon and your artifact. Um, Not only does it come with 4 melee power, but for these 2 filigrees, you get the stacking Sucker Punch and one against many
Yeah,
set bonuses. So for 2 filigrees, you're getting 18 melee power and 4 strength. I don't think you can pack much more into just 2 filigrees. There's
No, those
nothing
things are the
else that's going
greatest
to
things in the
compete.
world.
Yeah, nothing else is going to compete with that. We're doing Dreadbringer melee power. We're adding tactics and strength in. We're getting the 4-piece set bonus, and that's going to give you the melee power. You're getting 5 from each of the rare filigrees for melee power, plus 5 from the set bonus. So, sorry, 15 from the set bonus. So you're getting a total of 25 melee power and an extra 10% fort bypass and an extra strength and tactics. Um, Adding on that third sucker punch is giving you an additional 5 melee power, adding a sneak attack dice. Then we go into the long shadow. Long shadow and treachery can be interchangeable um, depending on what your build goals are, and which treachery filigrees that you have is going to really vary as well.
Yeah, I would like to notice this is my generic, like playing by myself, no matter what group I'm in. This is my generic filigree setup. I'll do the long shadow and then the 3-piece treachery for my sneak dice, my imbue dice, and my
Yep.
melee power. But for push rating, if we don't have shattered device, you can absolutely drop long shadow and one of the treachery to get you the 4-piece shattered device. So you'll want to keep your threat reduction and your treachery melee power for your for the threat reduction, but you can drop long shadow for push rating to get your shattered device if nobody else in the group is running it.
And let's say that you're on a build where some of your build choices caused you to increase your melee threat range instead of decrease it, and you're sitting at a positive value. This is by far the most efficient place to get threat reduction for melee attacks in the
Oh,
entire
by
game.
far.
It's plus 50% threat reduction, so it actually takes you to a minus 50%. And if you had to swap out 5 melee power, you could actually get minus 100 threat reduction from 2 filigrees.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, it's a really just easy spot. So no surprises here. You're getting sneak attack, you're getting imbue dice, you're getting melee power, you're getting strength, and then you just for the last filigree, it looks like you just slotted in a plus 5 melee power. So
Yeah,
most melee setups, I would say about 90% of the strength builds that I've ever seen have this setup. If you have a different setup and you want to share it, please share it. But this is what I'm seeing in game players running.
yeah. It's the most pack like buck for your bang is a good term. It's you you get as much as you can out of the little as much as you have.
So let's talk about your gear choices, and I want to start with this set here. And the reason I want to start here is because when Sin first shared this with me earlier this week, I was actually skeptical of the set. But it is the Wrath of Sorakel and the Perfected Wrath set. Sin, walk me through that a little bit.
So I live and die by this set since I was introduced to it by a couple friends over on Argo. It is for a 3-piece set that you can stack with both your rings, so you only need like both rings. It gives the most. It gives you your +3 artifact ability scores, so you don't need to run brutal blows or any of those artifact ability sets, and you get your artifact 15% helpless damage, so you don't have to augment that. And then you get your 3 artifact imbue dice and artifact PRR. Again, two major things for artifact physical resistance rating is huge for any melee. If you're not running imbue dice, then the 3 artifact imbue dice doesn't really matter, but it's a lot better than saving 7,500 dread runes for the augment set.
Yeah, so if you don't know this, if you are looking at named item sets and one of the items in the set is a ring, you can actually wear the exact same ring in both ring slots and it will trigger as 2 of the pieces for the set. So whether that's the Dino set whether that's some of um, the sets out of man, I keep wanting to call it Saltmarsh, but it's not Saltmarsh. The Sacred Helm and um, help me out here, Sin, and House K.
Sacred Helm. Purple Dragon or Red Dragon?
No, Red Fens. Sorry.
Oh, Red
Whether
Fence.
it's the
Okay.
Red Fen sets, the Dino sets, whether it is the set we're going over now with the Terraz's Perfect Sight, um, you can actually stack those rings. Same ring, both slots, still triggers the set bonus. I had a build setup that was using two Sacred Bands, and you were able to get the two-piece bonus with that, which is nice. Actually, talk to me a little bit. Let's back up a step. So we covered kind of this first set bonus, which is giving you a lot, packing in those five artifact bonuses. But
Yeah.
when you approach gearing a character, how do you approach that? Are you looking for stats first, set bonuses first? How do you really go about that?
I really approach it with what is kind of a given. Like, what are you slotting in first that you're gonna have on most melees, which is your goggles, your flame guard lenses. Those are pretty much what you want on all melees. It is a beautiful item. And then I really look into set bonuses. I go for my dread set first because it's kind of your most like generic. You want to go for your profane set, your 5 piece, and then look into your artifact sets. So I have the Windlasher, gem and boots, and then my artifact, 2 rings helmet.
Yeah, and I know some builders prefer to lean into the dread sets. They feel like they can pack more in. And then I know
Yeah,
other builders who lean a little more heavily towards the Vecna sets. Ultimately, I think it comes down to your personal preference.
absolutely. And yeah, and what you can fit in with what you have to take.
I would say,
So,
actually, I think for me, the dread set bonuses do end up being slightly better as long as you can afford to craft them. But if you can't afford to do all the crafting, the Vecna items are drops, so maybe that's a little easier to come by.
yeah, absolutely. There's the one set I'm really liking on other melees, the Devil's Infernal Dance. I really prior focus on that and then go for my 5 piece dread set because with especially with long swords, you can't use the Vecna set. There's no Vecna long swords. So
So
can't utilize that as well as you can the
I actually just
dread
want to
set.
take a minute and share this piece. So I know back in the day, because I'm old now, we used to refer to your Google foo being strong. I think you can make your DDO wiki foo really strong if you're looking for information. So one of the key searches you can run is named item sets.
Yeah. I'm always looking through those to see if there's anything cool
And
that
that's
isn't run.
going to bring up every single set bonus ever. Um, really interesting to me is that you do have this legendary Fried and Frozen Frenzy set, which is +1 artifact bonus to crit multiplier on a 19 to 20, and they are long swords. So I don't know if that's something you're gonna want to experiment around with, but
Yeah, that's always been in the back of my mind since I've seen them, just purely based on the fact I want to hit people with fishes. Just
um,
purely hit people with fishes.
but let's say that you wanted to find all the items in the game. Say you're looking for a quality wisdom item, right? Because if I go into the wiki search and if I type quality wiz items, watch what happens. Okay, it didn't really give me anything that's useful immediately, and so you might think, oh man, it doesn't have anything. But here's what I found: if you go to Google and instead you type DDO quality wiz items, watch what happens.
You get the whole list.
So right here, you'll see the first link is actually to the wiki page. And so when I click in on that, it's going to tell me, hey, do you want a +1, a +2, or a +3 bonus? And there we go. So just something to keep in mind, the search box on the wiki itself may not always be your friend, but Google is. So if you're looking for something specific, just go to Google, type DDO, and then whatever the bonus is that you're looking for, and it'll direct you to the wiki page, and it'll actually do it more effectively than the wiki itself.
Yeah, I utilize this all the time, just purely for finding items that maybe I don't know about or don't know off the top of my head that can give me improved deception. Like for sneak builds, you really want the improved deception. But if your gloves are covered up with your sword kettle set and you really need your helmet for something else, you can I will look for any improved deception items that I can fit in.
And actually, I would say that gearing is a really in-depth process, right? I've seen people who create spreadsheets for gearing, trying to track the stats they have, the stats they don't. How long would you say it normally takes you to properly gear a character?
Probably gear character just based purely on like gear set, not doing the augments. I would say a good half hour, 20
No, no, no.
minutes.
How long does it take you to design the ideal gear set for a build?
I would say average time 20 minutes.
Oh, 20, 30 minutes for you?
Yeah, just so and making sure I'm not missing nothing. I'm very focused on min-maxing any builds I play. I'm not really super fond on where the meta is right now with just your main damage. I really excel with the hybrid builds, so I want to min-max those hybrid builds as much as I can.
Yeah, I think for me, gearing, I kind of do the initial pass, and then I'll start to think, hey, what if I made this choice? But, if you change, in some instances, just one piece of gear, the entire house of gear cards that you've built, like, it all crumbles, and you have to
Yeah,
start
it'll crumble.
re-gearing
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah, I've
But,
got it to a good T where it's like I have a generic set for most two-weapon fightings I play, but for
okay.
some I gotta swap around some items and it just becomes a big pain.
Well, we have 4 minutes, so we'll get through most of this. I see for your dino set you went with the Raptor Tooth necklace. It's giving you Blood Rage, Relentless Fury, both of which are really nice. It's giving you Seeker and a Deception bonus. You slotted some Insightful Con there. You also have the Dino Bone outfit. That's allowing you to custom craft some extra effects onto the armor itself. So, like dodge, bypass, an extra 2d6 sneak attacks. You're getting 3% profane double strike, as well as making it part of the set bonus for the curse. Um,
Mhm.
you do have the bone bracers as your artifact that's giving you the 15 strength, PRR, armor piercing, accuracy, and then you found the Lindell's belt, which again is giving you insightful sheltering and fleshing out that Isle of Dread set.
Yeah,
Outside of that, you went with the Eternal Flame Guard lenses. This is probably hands down one of the best items for melees,
yeah,
giving you
you want
both
that on every build.
double strike, quality double strike, deadly, and quality deadly. So again, that deadly is going to be up all the time, but that +11 is going to be replaced by your battle trance. Um, then this for the duelist cloak, it actually pairs quite nicely with those goggles, and it gives us a quality accuracy, an insightful armor piercing, and an insightful double strike. So just between these two items, you're getting, what is that? That's 25% double strike.
Yeah, on top of the accuracy, armor piercing, deadly, all that fun stuff.
So I went rapid fire through that because I wanted to get to the last couple items here. So tell me about the Masterwork Gauntlet.
This is really I took this because I didn't really have any other. I felt like all my other gear was locked into stone. I needed improved deception, and then it also gave me insightful and quality assassinate, which is huge for my smoke trap in Dark Hunter. Giving me that bonus there also helped, so I could benefit everything with this item. So it's just the perfect item.
And then you have that paired with the Dustless Boots, which is also giving you an Assassinate 16, an Insightful Deception, which is again going to increase the damage that your sneak attacks do. It's also part of the two-piece Windlasher set, which you have here
Yeah.
on your Gem of Many Facets. So um, this is great because you're not requiring in this particular setup for a perfect gem. If you don't know, this is a gem that drops out of the Chronoscope raid. You can upgrade it to Legendary, and it will come with two randomly generated bonuses, set item bonuses. You can reroll it for 100 threads, and I will not tell you or confess on stream how many threads I spent rerolling gems, but let's just say it's more than 15,000, but less than 20.
Oh, I'm well over 15, 20,000. I've rerolled for forever. That's why I don't like running perfect gems in gear sets that I give out to other people, because I don't want them to feel like, oh, I have to do this. So I will make if I can fit a perfect gem, I'll make an extra gear set for a perfect gem for somebody who does have the perfect gem or wants the perfect gem. But I hate gearing for a perfect gem which relies based off of luck and gambling. I'm not an advocate for gambling because if I gambled, I'd lose my house.
So, Sen, thank you so much. I mean, that's actually our time. I told you the 90
Okay.
minutes goes really, really fast.
Yeah,
Uh,
that's blew on by. Of
I really appreciate you being here with me tonight. Appreciate you sharing your Ranger build. We are going to
course.
get this posted to the forums after tonight, so you can find that under. Would you call this a multi-class build? It has two levels, so yeah, I'll put it in the multi-build class section rather than the Ranger. Um, if people have questions for you, Sin, about the build, are you active on the forums or where can they find you?
No, I'm not active on the forums at all. I rarely check it. It's not something I overly enjoy being on. There's some cool things like the raid push and stuff like that I'll look at, but the best place to reach me is my Discord.
Okay, great. So if you do have a question about the build, you don't know how to get a hold of Sin, post your questions to the forums. I will pass them along to Sin and get you an answer. Sin, once
Yeah.
again, thanks for being on. This has been Fixer Upper with Griglock from Kyber, Sin from Argo. Really appreciate everybody joining. Next week, we're actually going to be talking about monks, and I will have our resident guild monk expert on to share his endgame build for that. So thanks again, and have a good night.